You said something in a conversation 3 days ago and you're still thinking about it. Not because it was that bad, but because you're not sure how it landed, what they thought of it, whether it made you look a certain way. And you know logically it doesn't matter. You've probably told yourself to stop caring 100 times. That voice keeps running in the background anyway, quietly reviewing, quietly worrying, quietly editing the version of you that exists in other people's heads. This isn't weakness and it isn't immaturity. There's a very specific reason your brain is wired to work this way. And understanding it doesn't just explain the feeling, it makes it significantly harder to be controlled by it. The first reason goes back further than you think. For most of human history, being accepted by a group wasn't just a social preference, it was a survival requirement. If you were rejected by your tribe, you didn't just feel bad about it, you died. No shelter, no food, no protection from predators. Your brain inherited that wiring, and it never fully updated. So when someone looks at you the wrong way, when you say something that doesn't land, when you feel like you've been judged or dismissed, your brain doesn't process that as minor social discomfort. It processes it as a threat to your survival. That's why the reaction feels so disproportionate to the situation. It's not that you're being dramatic. It's that your brain is reacting to a modern problem with ancient software. The second reason is something called the spotlight effect. Psychologists discovered that people dramatically overestimate how much attention others are actually paying to them. You walk into a room with a stain on your shirt and spend the entire evening convinced everyone noticed. In reality, most people were too focused on how they themselves were coming across to pay sustained attention to you. The spotlight you feel on yourself is mostly in your own mind, built by a brain that evolved to monitor its own social performance constantly. The third reason is that your self-image has become partly outsourced. Most people don't have a fully internal sense of who they are. They know roughly who they are, but they use other people's reactions to confirm it. When people respond positively, you feel solid. When people respond coldly or don't respond at all, something in you wobbles. Because underneath the surface, you're still running a quiet question that never fully gets answered. Am I okay? And instead of answering it from the inside, you keep looking for the answer from the outside, which means every interaction becomes a kind of referendum on your worth, and that's exhausting. The fourth reason is that you were trained to care. As a child, your behavior was constantly evaluated. Good reactions meant approval, safety, love. Bad reactions meant something was wrong with you. So your brain built an extremely sensitive system for detecting how you're being perceived. Because for a long time, that information genuinely mattered. The problem is that system never got the message that you're no longer a child who depends on approval to feel safe. It kept running. It kept scanning. It kept treating other people's opinions like they have the power to determine your value. Here's the truth that most people who struggle with this never fully absorb. Other people are thinking about you far less than you think they are. Not because you don't matter, but because they're too busy running their own version of this exact same loop. Everyone is the main character of their own internal drama. And in most people's story, you're a supporting character at best. So the real question is this. If you found out that nobody was actually watching as closely as you thought, would you finally give yourself permission to just exist without editing yourself first?